wabarakatuh. Hi everyone, welcome to my class. Today we are gonna learn an English material with me, Miss Maya Areska. So before we start our lesson today, better if we open our class with reciting Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So today I gonna explain you about narrative text. There are three main points of narrative text that I gonna explain. The first is about definition of narrative text, the second generic structure of narrative text, and the last is about language feature of narrative text. So let me explain. The first is about definition of narrative text. Narrative text is an imaginative story to entertain people. So, I want to ask you something. Do you know the example of narrative text? Yeah, Snow White, Cinderella, and also Malin Kundang are some examples of narrative text. Because narrative text can be myths, legend, or maybe fable, that it is a fiction. So it used to entertain people. So let's move to the next point about generic structure of narrative text. There are some generic structure of narrative text. Do you know what are they? Okay, the first is orientation, the second is complication, the third is resolution, and the last is reorientation. The first is orientation. Who knows what is orientation? Yeah, orientation is the opening of the paragraph in narrative text. It used to introduce the character in the story. And the next is complication. Yeah, complication is the conflict in the story where the problem is developed. And the next is resolution. Resolution is where the problem on the story are solved. So if there are any problem on the story, of course there are any solution, right? And the last generic structure of narrative text is reorientation. Yeah, reorientation is the ending of the story. It can be happy ending or it can be sad ending of the story. And on reorientation, there are also moral value of the story, what we can get after we read the story. And let's move to the next point about language feature of narrative text. There are some language feature of narrative text. The first is in narrative text we use simple past tense. So what kind of verb that we use in narrative text? Yeah, verb to. In narrative text we use verb to. And the next is specific participant. In narrative text, the pronoun of the people should be specific. For example, the king, the queen, and etc. And also in narrative text, there are also action verb, the verb that shows an action. For example, climbed, walked, and etc. And the last, don't forget to use adverb of time in narrative text. Sometimes we can find this in the beginning of the story. For example, once upon a time, one day, and etc. So I think that's all the explanation about narrative text. I hope all of you understand about our material today. And if there are any questions, you can ask me later. And don't forget to study at your home. See you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.